Hey guys, get settled in here. Wait on some of you guys to enter the room. Waiting on some of you guys to come on. So it's 7 o'clock p.m. Friday night. It's good to see you guys again. It's been a couple weeks. We did not get a chance to do our live stream last week in Dallas. It just didn't work out that way. So I apologize for that. We normally would try to pull that off, but man, we drove into Dallas for the NRA convention that day. Got there and just it was look, it was hustling the whole time. We were just hustling. So again, my apologies for not being able to do a live stream last Friday night, but we are here tonight. I'm actually trying to pull up real quick and see if I can find the same live stream so that I can watch you guys and read your. Yep, here we go. I want to be able to read the comments and follow them as you guys are commenting. So let me get down to those. All right, cool. Yeah. Actually, I can see them kind of on my. I'm watching what you guys are commenting on my iPhone since I can't read them on the iPad right there. Let's see. Shout outs as always. Let's see. Rod. I'm going to try to get. I don't know if for some reason it's not giving me all of them, but here we go. Rod Hicks, Tyler Wildman, Gary Bivens, Short Chucker, 19 Kilo 35M. Hey, happy Friday to you too. Alaskan Ballistics, Andrew Dalton Ray. We'll do the shout outs here in a little bit, and I'm going to try to keep track of you guys on my phone here, by the way. We are on my back patio, as many of you may or may not know, my son is a special needs little boy, and he's the apple of my eye, so to speak, but there's a very good chance he'll come flying out of that door in a minute, making all kind of racket. He's pretty vocal in our backyard here. I mean, I'm in my backyard on the back patio. Again, just kind of chilling. I kind of threw this thing together at the last minute. Don't like to take too many weeks off, because I figure if you guys are going to be respectful enough to come hang out on Friday night, I can at least be respectful enough to have a live stream. A lot of stuff going on, man. That's why I'm not really prepared. Again, Terry Lee, welcome. I actually got to do, in fact, you'll recognize it from the video, this shirt that I'm wearing. I did a video today for the brand new Ruger PC Carbine. This thing's pretty cool, man. This thing is neat. Let's see here, make sure. As you can see, we are unloaded. That's the open bolt right there with the magazine that's not loaded in it. Yeah, man, this is a cool gun. Scoot over a little bit where I can show you guys. See if you can see that. It's pretty darn cool, man. If you notice the bolt handle right there, right here. In fact, let me get this thing here. Take the mag out. The bolt handle right here can actually be moved. It's not ambidextrous, but it can be moved, if you'll notice, to the other side, to this hole right here. That can actually be affixed to it. And I want to say Ruger, I'm pretty sure they supply the tools for that. There's a series of Allen wrenches that they sent with this thing. But I think what I'm going to do is I am going to move that, because if you think about it, if you have a nice grip with your right hand, and you could do like the AK and of course come over here, or do like the AK and come underneath there to charge it. But if you have the opportunity to put it on this side, if you notice your mag release is on this side also, which that can also be swapped. But with that being on that side, it's natural if you're a right-handed shooter to put your magazine in like this. So if you're ejecting your magazine, you press it like that, go back in, and if your charging handle is right here, it would be natural just to charge it if we're on the left-hand side. So I do think I'm going to move that. I filmed my video today with it on this side. Of course, I didn't do any real reloads or anything like that, so it didn't make any difference what side it was on. But I feel like if you're using this thing and maybe you're making some quick reloads, it probably will benefit you to have the charging handle on that left-hand side. But man, I got to tell you, this is a nice piece. I mean, I'm a gun guy anyway. I like guns, so it's rare that I find a gun that I just don't like, but this thing is cool. I mean, you got your standard old school stock on it. That's a nice touch. I like that. Trigger's good. I'm not sure. I did not uh, check to see what it was, but I got to tell you, let's see. Yeah, I mean that's a nice trigger. It's probably about 3 pounds. It's not much. I will check that and see. Coolest thing about it, well, let me go through some of the other features first before I tell you what's cool about it. You got a rail on top. You got a rail into the fore end. You do have a really nice set of sights on it. I really like them. They are adjustable. Elevation and windage. The front one's protected. If you notice, the back is a ghost ring sight. The front is a protected post. There we go. And you'll notice it's also got a threaded barrel on it for a suppressor. The barrel is beautiful. This is a fluted barrel on that thing, if you can see it. Yeah, I think you can see that. That's to cut down a little bit on the weight, because this is a pretty good sized barrel, but also to help cool it off a little bit. It's balanced about where it's at right there. It's a little bit maybe front heavy right now. But you pretty much, I think you got a hollow stock, but this receiver is extremely heavy. The thing's got a lot of weight to it. I do not know what the weight is. I can actually probably tell you, because I brought a magazine out here so that I would have some specs for this thing. Here we go. The weight is 6 pounds, 13 ounces. Boy, sure feels heavier than that. 6 pounds, 13 ounces. I would have guessed heavier, but that's what it says. So anyway, yeah, got some good weight to it. Shooting it is a breeze. I mean, there's no recoil whatsoever because of the weight of it. You're shooting a 9mm down a 16-inch barrel like that, so it's pretty cool. But let me go back to the coolest thing about it. Okay, let's say this is very similar to a 1022 on the trigger, and also the takedown version of a 1022. This is what I like about it. Okay, if you want to take it down, you can. You simply hold down the bolt, stop, pull back, lock the bolt backwards, and you see this notch right here. See if you can see that. That's your takedown notch. You just take this thing, push the takedown notch, and you turn this thing, and it comes apart like that. So you got your two pieces right there. I mean, talk about a quick and easy disconnect, and it goes back together literally that fast. So you lock your bolt back, and you grab this piece right here, your takedown notch, press it in, and turn this thing, and it comes apart just like that. That's cool. That is cool. You can put this thing in a backpack if you're wanting to. See, my bolt went forward. And you can basically make this a bug out gun if you want to. You know, the benefit of having something like this as a bug out type gun, or truck gun, or whatever you want to call it, is the fact that you got a 9mm here, and in this case, this is the SR9 magazine, the Ruger SR9 magazine that comes with the Ruger SR9 pistol. So the fact that I can use that in this gun also, use the same ammo and the same magazine, is pretty cool. However, it's almost become a joke, but it is a serious question. Does it take Glock magazines? The Ruger PC Carbine actually does. The neat thing about this gun is the very fact that you can take out, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. You see this piece right inside here? Right inside the mag well, you see that other little piece that's kind of well defined. Look real close and you're going to see where it says, let me see if I can see it. Yeah, it says SR9 on it. There you go. Maybe right there you can see it. But it says SR9. That right there, and I did bring the Allen wrench out here with me. What you do is you take this takedown bolt out or screw out, and this one. So these two right here, you take them out. First you take the the fore end off of it. Then you take these two guys right here down, and what happens is the top part of your receiver, and by the way, I show this in the actual video, but the top part of the receiver actually comes up and out. This whole piece removes itself from the receiver down here. You'll notice this line right here. That line right there is the delineation point where this whole piece pulls out of this piece. When it does that, you actually can go into the lower receiver, and with a simple push of the mag release, the magazine component on the inside that accepts the SR9 magazines will actually release the SR9 magazine component, and then you can drop in the Glock magazine component, and then it can use any of the Glock 19, 17, 34, any of those magazines will actually go in here. So that's kind of cool because I mean, obviously there's a lot more Glock magazines out there than there are SR9 magazines. With that being said, if you made this thing into a bug out gun or a truck gun or whatever, you can carry your Glock 17, and this is all you need, and a handful of magazines and ammo. So it's actually pretty darn cool. Again, I'm a gun guy. I like guns. So when a gun comes out, I just like it. This is actually a really cool gun. I was really excited to get my hands on this one. It's a lot of fun to shoot. You'll see in my video. My video will probably be ready probably tomorrow. I don't think I'm gonna have time to finish it tonight, but probably tomorrow to be out, and you'll see this thing is really a lot of fun. I'm going through your questions right now, guys. I'm really trying to keep up with this. Let's see here. Okay, this is Alaskan Ballistics. Do you feel like the Ruger PC9 is a little front heavy? I didn't like the feel of it when I picked it up. Plus the stock isn't conducive to putting optics on it very well. Not high enough on, you know, yes, as I said a second ago, you know, with the balance of it, I wouldn't say it's front heavy. It's just not perfectly balanced to where you kind of expect it to. You feel like there's a certain point where it should be balanced right. I typically like a gun to be balanced where the magazine is, because that's usually for sure at the point where you're going to have your hand's going to be in front of it. Your left hand's going to be in front of it if you're right-handed, and your right hand's going to be behind it. So yeah, I did find it to be a little front heavy. With that being said, I'm never and would never shoot this gun with only one hand anyway, so I didn't feel like that was a big deal. I didn't feel like it dove down the front too bad, so that wasn't a knock that I had against it, but it's noticeable. I did notice what you're talking about. Let's see here, going through your questions. Yeah, good comment too. Andrew Dalton Ray said, hope one day that the Ruger will make the carbine to accept 1911 magazines. It's funny you say that because I'm guessing. I have some predictions, and as I say in my video, sometimes I make some really stupid predictions, and sometimes that 1% of the time I might be a little right. I suspect that the way this gun was made, it's somewhat bulky. It doesn't need to be this big. It doesn't need to be this heavy for a 9mm. So what that tells me is these guys are preparing for a more powerful cartridge. First of all, I think they'll go to a 45, but get this. I'm predicting these guys make this into a 10mm. I really believe that. I honestly believe that 10mm is what these guys are going to do. I truly believe that. I feel like the size of this gun, it's ready for that. It can handle the power of a 10mm. So I have a very strong feeling that we're going to see, I mean, if you look at the size of the mag well is plenty big enough to where if they make a version of this for 10mm, you will be able to get that long of a bullet inside here. You see all the meat they have around this mag well. There's plenty of room to take some away, so that it makes room for, you know, your 10mm. What I'm thinking, I doubt it will be. It will probably be a whole different gun because, you know, if you go changing components out like the barrel, the magazine, you got to change the bolt out. Next thing you know, you've just changed the entire gun out, other than the lower receiver and the buttstock. So I think it'll just be the whole gun. But another reason why I feel like that's going to happen is, guys, take a look. You will notice that so many folks out there that for years the whipping boy and the butt of jokes has been the high point handgun, right? I mean, that's like anytime you want to make a really good joke about something, you just bring it up about high point and it usually fits. But High Point decided to make a 10mm carbine. That thing's flying off the shelf. You can't get your hands on one. It's almost impossible. We've actually been waiting on one to come to us so we can review it. Everybody and their brother's buying one of those right now. But these people wouldn't drive within 500 yards of a High Point handgun. So my suspicion is that Ruger is smart enough. Ruger always kind of has their ear to the ground in the gun market. They understand what the gun market is doing and why it's doing it in most cases. So I suspect that Ruger is watching all that happen. They build an oversized 9mm that doesn't need to be built this big and bulky to be able to handle and accept a 9mm round. I think they did that with the intention that they don't have to redesign this at all, other than the internals have to be changed in the event that or obviously the barrel too, in the event they want to make it into a 10mm. So kind of look for that. That's my prediction. That's my bold prediction. I really think that's going to happen at some point. Let's see. You know what? TJ says that he hopes they hit 100,000 subs tonight. Man, I do too. It's so funny. We're talking about YouTube subscribers. We bolted through, you know, getting subscribers left and right, left and right, left and right, and it's like we've been fortunate enough that you guys out there have been good to us and subscribed, shared, and stuff like that. That we'll just sit back and watch our numbers. We'll turn on the next morning or something, and we've got like 2,000 new subscribers. Like, where does that come from? Well, the closer we've gotten to 100,000 subscribers, the slower our subscriber base has been. It's like watching water boil, I guess, And we haven't done a ton to try to encourage people. We did put a video out a couple days ago on Facebook um, asking people to subscribe to us. But yeah, you're right. I mean, we hope, I think we're at, let's see, I'll tell you. You guys probably know quicker than I do. Yeah, we're at 99,150. So we need 850 subscribers to get over 100,000. That's a milestone for us. We're excited about that. It's kind of a big deal for us. Let's see. Yeah, good question, Shark Chucker. I'm surprised Magpul don't already have a stock for it yet. You're right. I mean, they're usually ahead of the game. You would think they had some inside information and probably would have had that available. I'm surprised as well. And in fact, I suspect there's going to be some kind of like airborne looking paratrooper type stocks for this thing for people who don't like the traditional style stock on that. I suspect there'll be. And you know the one they've got, what is that real aggressive tactical looking one that Magpul has on their shotguns? I forget what it's called. I have it on my 870, my Remington 870. That would look good on this. That would look really good. That real aggressive stock with the real sharp edges on it, that'd look nice on here. So maybe that's what we'll end up getting. That'd be cool. Let's see. Rifle. Trying to read you guys stuff, so I apologize. It's just me out here. Smelly Feet asks, does this guy have Down syndrome? I guess he's talking about me. No, with Down syndrome children or people, their ears are a lot lower, and they're actually a little bit better looking than I am. So I would say that if you were trying to be cute, you're probably being worse because that kind of stuff doesn't bother me. I'm a pretty self-deprecating guy. So I know I'm not a good-looking guy. So if you're trying to be ugly, I don't find Down syndrome people to be ugly at all, or look bad. If that was a cut down, please don't cut Down syndrome people like that because I'm definitely not as good-looking as they are. Nice try though. The thing is, if you're going to be ugly like that and you start being ugly to the other people that we have in the room, we're going to kick you to the curb. So, I mean, you can be ugly to me. I'm okay with that. But if you think you're going to be cute and ugly to some of our viewers, we're going to have to ask you to go. Let's go. Wow. Z50 says maybe a 44 Magnum. Dude, I can't imagine them making this thing in a 44 Magnum, but I guess it's possible. That'd be crazy. Gabriel Gomez asked my thoughts on Kyle Kashuv. I don't know how to pronounce the guy's last name. I know who he is. He's the kid, one of the Parkland shooters Parkland survivors, forgive me, that wasn't shot. It's funny how you have an entire school of people, like probably thousands, who weren't shot, and they're all considered survivors of the Parkland shooting. It's weird how there's that play on words. But I don't think, I think his heart's in the right place. I think Kyle is trying to do the right thing. His enemies, if you will, really are trying hard to, they want to get paid. You know, the little hog boy and the bald-headed girl, the little angry bald-headed chick, they're clearly getting paid. In fact, the hog boy said that he is going to forego his final year of, postpone going into college. That's what it is. Postpone going into college because he wants to focus on gun control. All right, whatever. I mean, I don't blame you. You're getting paid. Your 50 minutes of fame is going to be out sooner or later, so I get it. You know, you better strike while the iron's hot. There's going to come a time when some of these idiots like that are going to grow up. I mean, relatively speaking, they're kids. They're babies. They don't understand the real world. They don't understand real life. And this includes Kyle. He's still a child also, just like these other people. Kyle is pro-gun, by the way, for those of you that don't know who we're talking about. But he's also still a child. I don't want to take any of my constitutional advice or policy advice of any kind. I don't care what it's on, from a child. Whether they're pro-gun or anti-gun, they don't belong in the argument. I mean, I'm just being honest here. I welcome them to voice their opinion because I think everybody's opinion is one that should be heard. I don't think anybody should be silenced in any kind of way. I don't think there's an age limit on the First Amendment. But there's also, in my mind, there's a reason why kids sit at the kid table, because they don't have anything to add to the grown-up table. So we put them at the kids table until they grow up, then they get to sit at the grown-ups table. Kyle and David and the little bald-headed angry chick, they all need to sit at the kids table until they grow up. Once they mature and they've experienced life outside of video games and a well-protected school, then I will listen to what they have to say. I will listen to what their arguments are on policy. But none of them are qualified to make an argument, have an argument on policy. Again, I respect their opinions, but none of what they have to say, including the pro-gun side, really means much to me, because they haven't experienced anything. I doubt very seriously, if you look at the homes in that area, the homes in that Parkland area, this is one of the richest areas in Florida. The homes in that Parkland area sell for about $600,000 a piece. That's the average sale of those homes. It's very unlikely that any of the children in Parkland or any of the teachers in Parkland have ever experienced any real life threat other than what happened with the jackass shooting the school up. So to have them explain to me what it feels like to walk down the street and feel like you need to have a gun on your hip to protect your family, they don't know. They haven't experienced that. Again, the pro-gun side or the anti-gun side, neither one of them have anything that I feel like is valuable at this point, mainly because they're kids. Again, guys, I don't want to get my constitutional policy advice and information from a child, and I don't suggest any of you do either. With that being said, I've got no problem with the kid Kyle. I think that he's got a level head. It not because he's pro-gun, but because it would be so easy for him to fall in line with that anti-gun side over there and be one of the popular kids like the angry little bald chick or David Hogg. So, believe me, he is taking a stand. He is being brave. He is stepping out of line and not falling in step with everybody else. He's doing the harder thing. It's not easy to do that. And usually whenever you're going to step out of line and go against the grain and not be the cool kid, those people will typically take the time to really think about it and make sure they're making the right decision. So I feel like Kyle is probably one of the only ones that actually has really thought this whole thing through and really looked into the Constitution and anything else. He's probably the most educated one of all, because the ones that are anti-gun, they're taking the easy way out. They're going with the flow. It's like the stream coming downhill. It's easy, or coming down the mountain. It's easy to put your foot into it, realize which way the current's going, step into it, and the current sweeps you away. That's the easy way. You don't have to do any real work that way. Kyle's going against the stream. He has to struggle. He has to fight against that. He's probably getting threats and all kinds of stuff like that. So again, my guess is he's probably invested a little bit of his time trying to decide if he was really making the right decision, which that would involve educating himself. So I think from a respect standpoint, I've actually got a lot of respect for him, because I do feel like he has thought this thing through. He may be a real asset to the gun community once he grows up. Right now, he's not going to be getting much credibility. I mean, it's kind of sad, but people like me don't give him a ton of credibility because he is a kid. The left won't give him any credibility. It's funny, if a child is anti-gun, they're looked at as a superhero when they speak out against guns. But when a child is pro-gun, they're looked at as being immature and stupid. So he's not getting any credit from the left side. So it's kind of a shame. Anyway, guys, let's see. Let me see if there's anything else you guys are asking here. By the way, there's gnats, occasional gnat flying around over here. So if you see me, I'm not having any spasms or seizures or anything like that. But let's see. Fun with Guns. What's up, man? Glad you could join us. Never trust a hog. That's funny. Let's see. Yeah, Fun with Guns says that he read an article that some on the left are pushing for 16-year-olds to vote, but they don't want them to have guns till 21. Unbelievable. You know, they want 16-year-olds to vote for the very same reason that they don't want any borders between the United States and Mexico, because they know that most of these kids are stupid and haven't experienced any real life, and they're very easy to manipulate and brainwash, so they're automatically assuming that they're automatic votes. Don't think for 1 minute that if children were actually as intelligent as the left actually makes them out to be, and were actually conservative, this would not even be a topic. They're only bringing this up because they're thinking, well, maybe there's a chance, because they're thinking they're built-in votes. In most cases, there probably are. The way our schools and our colleges are indoctrinating these kids, a very good chance until these kids actually mature and actually get out on their own and have to do something on their own, be responsible, and actually work, they're probably going to be liberals until they become conservatives. So there's a very good chance that in their younger years they're going to be voting the stupid wrong way. Let's see, guys. I'm just skimming through your stuff, guys. Let's see. Z50 asks, are we all boycotting Walmart? They raised the age of 21, buy ammo and rifles 21. Yeah. Guys, truthfully, I don't shop there anyway. Not because I'm trying to be pompous and I'm too good to shop there. I love their prices. They're cheap. But I won't go in there. It's too much of a pain in the butt. It's not worth my time. I look at my time as being worth something. I would rather walk out of a store spending $20 more, knowing that I didn't get hassled and didn't have to deal with a bunch of idiots, than go into Walmart and deal with them at a lower price and walk out having saved $20. I'll spend my extra $20 to be treated like a human being instead of dealing with the people in Walmart. That's just me. Again, that's not me being pompous or anything like that. I'm not too good for Walmart. In fact, I'm probably not good enough for Walmart, but I'm just not a Walmart. I can't handle it. What do you think about retro 1911s? I love retro 1911s. I love all 1911s. If it has 1911 written in its name, I'm all for it. I'm a big 1911 fan, always have been. I can take them apart, put them back together in my sleep. I just always liked the 1911. John Browning is just under a god for me, because I think the guy was a freaking genius. Think about it, guys. John Moses Browning was able to, there was no other gun like the 1911. None. No other self-loading gun quite like the 1911. So there was nothing for him to borrow from. There's gun manufacturers out there today that will invent a truly remarkable gun, but they have thousands and thousands of different guns that they just decide what kind of action they want to use. Do I want to use this type of action, this type of barrel, this type of chamber, what kind of magazine? They have things that they can look at, and they can look at what's been done wrong and what's been done right, and incorporate that into their gun. John Moses Browning thought up an idea for a 1911 in his mind, and then did not have a CNC machine, did not have a computer, had no way to design this thing virtually. So he gets files, tools, steel, hammers, chisels, vices, you name it. He gets all these old school blacksmith style tools and makes his own prototype of a 1911. Nobody could do that today. Nobody. There's nobody that has that type of ingenuity. I can't imagine how seldom somebody like that comes along. You have your Henry Fords and your John Moses Brownings, your Albert Einsteins. I mean, those guys only come along so often. So anything 1911. Retro, yes, I'm cool with the retro. I have some cool looking retro 1911s. I have like some reproductions. Doug Turnbull made a series of them. I have one of his. Colt made one. I have a really cool looking Colt. They even have the caustic-looking dipped magazines like they used to make back in the old days that came with them too. So that's kind of cool. Let's see. Tristan Hodgen asks, have you fired a Canadian C7 assault rifle? I have not. Honestly, I don't know what it is. So, my apologies to that. I know a lot about guns, but believe me, I don't know everything about guns. My bad on that. Let's see, fellas. Phone with Gun says Browning was the Tesla of gun makers. Absolutely, he was. Um, Thank the Chinese for inventing gunpowder. Absolutely. What would we do without Chinese fireworks, right? Still, to this day. Let's see, I want to mention something else on the Ruger. Let's see, that Ruger carbine. Some of the other specs on it. And again, this will all be in my video that'll be coming out the next day or so. Let's see, hammer fired self-loading carbine, 9mm, 17 plus 1. That all depends on the magazine that you have in it. It does come with a 17. Barrel length 16. Mine has 16.12 inches. Overall length 34.37 inches. 6 pounds 13 ounces is the weight. The finish is black oxide and anodizing. The sights are a notched front, and it's a protected front sight and aperture rear. Trigger, it says the trigger 6 pounds. There's no way. I will test the trigger on that and show you guys. There's no way it's 6 pounds. No way. If that thing's 4, I'll be shocked. I suspect it's probably maybe 3. But a great gun. Great gun. Anyway, guys, I saw some of you guys out at the NRA show last week in Dallas. That was cool. Anyone that came up to me and talked to me, I unloaded whatever I could. Patches, stickers, decals, whatever I had in my bag. I shared with whoever came up to me and talked to me. That's cool. I'm not really, I'm a very easily approachable person, guys, but I'm a very humble person, so when someone comes up to me and recognizes me, it's a little uncomfortable to me because we all put our pants on one leg at a time, and sometimes it's just a little awkward for me. So if you ever come up to me at one of those shows and it's a little awkward, I'm not being ugly and I'm certainly not being rude, because I'm flattered that you actually want to have a conversation with me. It's just that I'm not comfortable with that. I mean, I'm not the kind of person that seeks out that recognition. This one dude comes up to me, older guy from Kentucky, Bobby was his name. And Bobby, I was sitting down on the concrete floor, like not even in a chair. I was literally sitting down with my feet out like this, on the floor, eating a panini, roast beef panini. And I had my drink on the side, and my plate was on my lap, my bag was at my side, and the guy, Bobby, came up to me and said, "Hey man, you're Paul illegally in America." I was like, "Yeah." So we had a conversation. He was talking about how he liked the fact that I was just a regular guy. I was like, "Dude, what you see is what you get." I'm sitting here on the floor of this convention hall, sitting on the floor like a dog eating my food. I'm good, dude. This is all me. This is how I am. And really nice guy. I had a good conversation with him. It was nice hanging out with him, and some of the other people that I ran into. Like I said, I gave tons of patches out and decals. It was really fun. I enjoy the NRA show for that reason. We go to 3 big shows a year. SHOT Show, of course. Well, SHOT Show's closed to the public. Technically, it's closed to the public. You got all your dealers and your representatives and your gun shop owners and all that kind of stuff that come through there. And then later on this year, we'll have what's called the NASGW show, which is a whole National Association of Sporting Good Wholesalers. I can't believe I remembered that. That's a cool show also, but it's that one is not open to the public at all. In fact, it's kind of tough for others to get in that. We get into it because we're media, so that's a cool one too. It's very, very slow paced, but the NRA show is open to the general public, and that's where it's fun because just anybody can come to it. And we go to different parts of the country that we typically aren't going to be in anyway, so we get to see people that we know or don't know or wouldn't normally run into out of those places. Next year the NRA show is going to be back in Indianapolis, which is kind of weird because it was in Indianapolis. Last year was Atlanta, year before was Louisville, year before that I think was Nashville. So yeah, it was in Indianapolis 4 years ago. So it's already going back. I wish you would go back to Houston, Texas, because that's a 2-hour drive from here. Can't wait till it goes back to that. Maybe that's a little bit, that town, no, I was going to say maybe that town's a little too liberal for them, but they were in friggin' Atlanta last year. I mean, that's the most liberal town we've been to in many years as far as the NRA show goes to. But anyway, guys, hopefully we'll get back, to a location where some of you guys can come out and hang out with us, because we really look forward to that. We enjoy hanging out with people that watch our stuff and, have fun with us. It's just nice to do that. Hey, we got a child. I'm sorry, hey, a kid in here. Tristan, I guess Tristan. I don't know these days if that is a girl's name or a boy's name, and I'm not picking on you. I just don't know. I think that is a name that could go either way. So again, my apologies if you're a guy. My apologies if you're a girl. I just don't know. But Tristan says, "Hey, I'm 15, but yeah, we're so brainwashed." Well, it's big of you to say that. Not many. I think most 15-year-olds probably think they're the ones that are smart, the smart ones, and they're brainwashing us. Let's see. Andrew says, "Do you think that most guns today look generally the same because handguns and a few rifles look almost the same with minor detail differences?" I mean, yes, I think that most guns are built the same because of ergonomics. I think that, your typical gun is made like this because your support hand out front has been proven to stabilize it like that, and this is a good angle for your shooting hand to be in, with the trigger in the right place. I mean, I don't see there being a whole lot of changes in that because over the years the ergonomics of a gun have just become somewhat standard. I don't see anyone being real innovative out there, or really no room for innovation out there because they've kind of already got it figured out. From a recoil standpoint and maybe even a kind of a gun design, although it still is in that same carbine look, I would have to say that the Chris Vector is probably the most unique design that I've seen in a very long time. The way it has that, let's say the barrel's pointing this way, the way that has that recoil that comes back and down like that, it's kind of hinged to where my knuckles would be. So instead of it just blowing back like this, recoiling like this, it recoils like this, back and down, kind of at a 45. Very unusual. If you've never shot a Chris Vector, I have the one in 45 caliber. Very unusual. It's like your recoil is kind of at this angle, down. It's not back at you. It's kind of down towards your stomach almost. Very controllable, very easy to maintain, but just very unusual. It's not something you would expect. So yeah, I think that's why most of your guns have that. Have that unique, that same specific look to it because heck, we've tried everything else. We've tried every other way to build a gun, and it just they either don't work or they're not compatible with any kind of shooting that we do. So I think that's probably why. Let's see. Z50, okay, thanks, man. Your weekly Friday night show puts you in a class of your own. My guess is the other big YouTubers will follow suit. I don't know. Look, guys, I'm so busy with my schedule, I don't really pay attention to. Does anybody else do this? Does anybody else do a live stream? Because, I like the live streams. I miss them. I miss live streams. If I hear somebody's having a live stream, I almost always miss it and have to watch it whenever it's being filmed later, or when it was. When it's in the can, and I'll watch it later. So I don't know if other guys do this. I like doing it because I like the interaction most of the time. And I say most of the time because we all know this is not all the time, but most of the time the people who are going to watch something like this are gun enthusiasts who are either eager to learn things or they are just as much of an expert as I am, and they know just as much, if not more, than what I do. And I learn stuff from you guys. So yeah, I mean, I think I get way more out of these live streams than you guys might. Let's see. Fun with Guns says, I just want to say I bought my Rock Island 1911 45 because of the excellent torture test videos that we did. Thank you for being so honest with your reviews. I love the 1911. Yeah, it's so funny how the industry works, the gun industry is. You guys probably know this. There's a lot of good people in the gun industry. And two companies that we are probably the best friends with are two companies that we did torture tests on their guns and beat the crap out of them. Wyndham Weaponry with their MPC carbine, and Rock Island Armory with one of their 1911s, and we beat the crap out of them. Now, the Rock Island Armory 1911, we really beat that one up. We blew it up with tannerite. We did all kinds of stuff with it. but we've become good friends with those guys because I bought both of those guns. Those guns were not given to me. They weren't discounted or anything. In fact, whenever I did the AR-15, I wanted to do my own torture test on the AR-15. And our torture tests, by the way, are called the Gun Bullies segment, where we bully the guns. I went to a local gun store down here in the Louisiana area, and I went to the owner of the gun store and I said, hey, look, I said, I want to do some torture tests with an AR-15, but I don't want it falling apart right away. I said, I don't want a high-end one because I don't want to spend, you know, $1,200 on an AR-15 that I'm going to go beat up, but I don't want the bottom of the barrel either because I don't want it falling apart. What's a good quality AR-15 that will withstand the abuse that I'm about to give it, and it will have a decent enough price point where it's not going to break the bank? And the guy told me, the owner of the gun store told me two choices that he would recommend. One would be the Smith & Wesson Sport. If you guys remember, that's the entry-level bottom of the barrel Smith & Wesson that doesn't have a forward assist. I don't think it has a dust cover, flat top, I believe. Or the Wyndham Weaponry MPC. Well, a couple of reasons why I picked Wyndham Weaponry. One, they had the forward assist, they had the dust cover on it. But the main reason why was that I thought about it and I was like, okay, I'm not looking for something from these guys, but I root for the underdog. That's kind of like my thing. If a guy deserves to be rooted for and he is the underdog, then I'm going to pull for him. And I thought to myself, what does Smith & Wesson get out of this? If I do a torture test series on their AR-15 and it gets any recognition for them at all, do they care? Will they even notice? Not that I wanted the accolades, but would they shrug their shoulders and go, some other dumbass beating up our gun? You know, would that be their reaction? Or would they even say that? Whereas Wyndham Weaponry, on the other hand, brand new company, makes an awesome gun. I thought to myself, they not only could use it, they're the underdog, but they would appreciate it. Because they know that it's easier to pick the better name brand. Because if you guys are out there going to look for a certain AR-15, I can almost assure you that most people, at least a few years ago when I was doing this series, you would have typed in Smith & Wesson AR-15 way before you would have ever typed in Wyndham Weaponry AR-15. So kind of I had a lot to lose by going with Wyndham also, because fewer of you guys would stumble across my video. Again, more of you would have found it if I would have done a Smith & Wesson review than you would have on a Wyndham Weaponry. I was willing to take that chance because I felt like Wyndham would at least appreciate it. I'm a person that's very core oriented, and I'm very loyal, and I feel like when somebody does you a solid, you do them one in return. And I just like somebody to at least appreciate other people. It's a respect thing. That's all it really is, a respect thing. And I didn't think Smith & Wesson would have given a rat's patoot if I would have done anything. Well, it worked exactly the way I expected it to be honest with you. Number one, the AR-15 to this day continues to fire. It's been frozen solid for a few days. It's been thrown in mud. It's been thrown in muddy shell water with little white chunks of shell in it. It's been dropped. It's been submerged in sand. It's been run through a dishwasher, literally a dishwasher. Gosh, I forget what else we did to that thing, but we did everything we could possibly do to it. And never cleaned it, never lubricated. The only cleaning I ever did was run running water over it from a faucet to try to wash the rocks out. I still never took a brush to it or anything like that, and still haven't to this day. So this thing's still never been cleaned and still never been lubricated. I can go pull it out right now and it will fire just like any other firearm or AR-15 that I have. So again, Wyndham appreciated that, become great friends with Wyndham Weaponry. And I know this is a long way to get to my point, but the same thing happened to Rock Island. I used my own money to go buy their 1911. And quite frankly, I knew I was going to torture test a 1911. I was just looking for one that was a low-end price. I think we got a fire truck that's passing. He's not coming here, by the way, but he's passing on the road over here. So I just looked for a 1911 that was on a lower end, and quite frankly, one that I wouldn't feel bad about torture testing, because you don't want to go spend $1,000 on a 1911 that you beat it up and bang it up and all of a sudden it can't be used anymore. So Rock Island Armory was a good entry-level 1911. I think I spent 400 and something bucks on their 1911. Beat that thing to crap, and same thing happened. Rock Island Armory, the owners of the company, took notice, and now we're really good friends with those guys because they saw that we could have used a different 1911 that cost more and had more name recognition, and it would have gotten us more popularity, but we decided to choose theirs instead. And you know, it's just good. The gun community is good like that. People are pretty responsive, and they're pretty good about, you know, taking care of you if you try to do something for them. You know what? I can't read the name because I got my wrong glasses on. Abaddon 380 asks if the NRA convention is open to foreign tourists. Man, you know what? It used to be open to foreign people. The odd thing is, I saw, maybe this was just press, but I was going in the media room this past year and it said no foreign press was allowed. That's kind of unusual because usually a lot of Japanese companies come over, a lot of Japanese media companies, and I didn't see any this year. I don't know what was behind that. As far as tourists, man, to be honest with you, I want to say if you are an NRA member, you get in there. I think that's the way it works. I'm not sure. So maybe if you're a foreign tourist and you're an NRA member, maybe then you can get in. I'm guessing here, but I think that's what it is. NRA needs to bring the convention to California where it's needed. Yeah, it is needed there. You guys definitely have some cool stuff going on over there in California as far as gun guys go, but you got horrible stuff going with your laws. Quite frankly, I can't imagine flying in and out of California with guns. That cannot be an easy thing. But yeah, I'd be game to go to California with that. I just couldn't bring my gun. I was able to carry a gun the whole time at the NRA convention. Let's see. Okay, Gabriel Gomez. Gabriel says, I agree with Tristan. I'm 17 and been pro-gun my whole life, but the stuff they try to embed in kids is just disappointing. Guys, I got to tip my hat to you guys, literally. Gabriel Gomez and Tristan, I mean, you guys sound like adults here. You know, the fact that you just recognize the fact that our institutions are trying to brainwash these kids, that shows me a level of maturity that I'm not sure I had at your age. So kudos to you guys. What's up, Glock boy? Robert says he's got a 16 in BCA 5.56 on its way. A killer. Jarrett's here. Jarrett Griffith's here. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's Jarrett. That's our admin. What's up, man? We have a Jarrett Griffith that pops in on these things sometimes, but this is my buddy right there from Sulphur. Glad you can make it, dude. Super Duper Paratrooper says, I bought a winning weaponry MPC from Paul's suggestion. I love it. Good, man. Thank you. I know you can't go wrong with it, so I'm not even going to ask how it's shooting because I know it's still shooting. Yeah, Z50 says, those sirens, here's some more. Fake me out, made me look outside. Nope, they're here, dude. There goes some more. What's funny, this is really weird. I have a couple of fire stations down here. The closest fire station to my house is literally right down this way. These fire trucks are coming from the opposite direction, going that way. So I hope the fire station's not on fire because it's kind of unusual to have them coming this way with their sirens blaring. Usually when a fire truck comes this way, it's going home. They're actually going that way to put something out. There must be something pretty big back there. Billy says, I've had a winning weaponry for a few years now and really like it. They're great, man. They're really good. Let's see. Andrew says, and I'm just reading this, when I was in Ohio with my, I can't even read that. Okay. NJROTC rifle team, I had the opportunity to go to Camp Perry and to handle an M1 Garand. Sweet. And just holding the M1 was like walking back in time. Boy, I'm telling you. The M1 Garand, I can almost say like the first time I held a 1911. It's incredible. I mean, you know, mine is a 1942 Springfield Armory from the actual Springfield Armory, not the company now, but the United States' Springfield Armory that built weapons back then. And it was traced back 1942, and it's debatable. I never believe anything that I'm told. That's a guess, but supposedly it was used in France. So when you hold one, it's, man, you just wonder, man, what really happened with this thing? And you look at the little nicks on it. You look at the wood, the marks in the wood, any kind of discoloration. You just wonder, man, you know, if this thing could only talk, what really happened with this thing? You know, what went down? You know, with the guy who held this, the guy who used it, is he dead? You know, did he die in combat? You know, did 5 different guys use this gun? Did this gun fall into enemy hands at some point? You know what I mean? I mean, you really, it brings you back when you do that. And I think an M1 Garand, I would have to say that any M1 Garand that is on American soil right now is probably used in combat. If you guys remember, during World War II, there was a huge shortage of weapons. I can almost guarantee that most M1 Garands, even the ones that probably, let me back up on that. Probably the ones that were used in basic training, boot camp, they probably didn't make their way over there for obvious reasons. But I would say that for the most part, every one that comes back or that's on American soil that's not in great condition probably was used overseas or in some form of combat. And you know, just think about that. I mean, just think about it for a minute. If you could put yourself back and think of the guys that were holding that, you know, what was going through their minds? You know what I mean? The guys in Germany or Russia who, you know, their socks were frozen solid to their feet, scared to death. You know, here comes a Panzer tank at you, you know, and all you've got is your M1 Garand. I mean, think about it. I mean, that's when the men were really men back then. I mean, I'm not a huge history buff. I'm interested in history, but I hated it in school. But I just can't imagine, you know, you could really get lost thinking about what those guys, you know, thinking about the story that's behind that particular gun that you might be holding. And it's humbling too, guys. I mean, it's humbling. I have never legitimately, I don't think, feared for my life. You know what I mean? I think one time I was in a boat in really bad weather, and that's probably the closest I've ever really come to fearing for my life. I can't imagine fearing for my life from another person on a daily basis. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just, those guys were badasses, man. They were badasses. Let's see. Gabriel asked, what was my first firearm? Man, the first one that was mine, not the first one I bought, but the first one that was actually mine was probably, I mean, I grew up in a house where my dad and my older brother had guns, so I never had to have my own, because if I needed one, I just borrowed one of theirs. So it's weird because I never felt like that. I think my parents bought me a 12 gauge Remington shotgun. I'm not sure the model. I don't remember. It wasn't an 870. It was a semi-automatic. Don't remember which model it was. Sadly, I don't think I have it anymore. But yeah, a Remington 12 gauge semi-automatic shotgun was my first gun that I actually owned, was mine. Now, the first gun that I ever bought, I bought an old, I think I bought a secondhand Remington Mossberg shotgun to go duck hunting one time because I didn't want to bring my good shotgun. And I went by a pawn shop and picked it up. It was a Remington 500, Mossberg 500. And yeah, I bought that just for like $100 to take hunting. That's probably the first one that I actually paid for because I didn't want to bring my nice Remington duck hunting out in the marsh. Our marshes down here in Louisiana are kind of brackish water, that's salt water and fresh water mixed, and it's just known for rusting guns. I didn't care if the Mossberg rusted. The first handgun I ever bought, oddly enough, and I had other handguns that my dad had given me, but the first handgun that I bought, believe it or not, was a Glock 23 in 40 caliber. And that was back in, I've shown it on some of my videos before, that was back during the, quote, assault weapons ban, which also had a magazine capacity ban back then, where you could only have handguns included, you could only have a magazine that held 10 or less rounds. So the first handgun I ever purchased is actually a Clinton banned gun, and it's got your full-size Glock 23 magazine, but it will only hold 10 rounds. So yeah, that's my first handgun I ever bought. I bought it during one of those stupid little Again, the Clinton assault weapons ban. Let's see. Z50 asks, what firearms channels do I subscribe to on YouTube? Man, I'll tell you the ones I know for sure. I subscribe to the NRA channels. Max Michel has his own channel. Max Michel, the world champion USPSA shooter. He's a friend of our show, a very good friend, actually. He'll actually be, we'll be recording some segments for our show that's on Fox. We're on, if you don't know, we're on Fox down here in Texas and Louisiana. And Max Michel is going to be providing some gun tips and things like that on our show coming up very soon. So yeah, Max Michel is one of them. You know, some of the popular YouTube guys, I do subscribe to theirs. There's one or two that are a little bit too full of themselves, and I have actually unsubscribed to them because I don't like the way some of these guys talk down to other people that don't agree with them. You know, if you don't like the kind of gun that they have, they speak down to you and they're kind of condescending. I don't care for that. I feel like, you know, be a man about it, be a nice person about it. I don't know the guys in Iraq veteran, but I do subscribe to them. What's the other guy? Gosh, you know, I don't subscribe to Hickok. I like Hickok and I like his videos, but man, his videos are too long. I don't have time. Seriously, guys, I've made a couple of videos that are 30 minutes long, and I hate it. I'm trimming it down. I'm like, God, nobody's going to watch this, because I know how I am. And I like Hickok. I like his videos. They're entertaining. I like when he's shooting all the crazy different targets that he shoots at. But I honestly don't have 30 to 45 minutes to sit down and watch a video on the internet. I mean, usually when I'm watching these videos, it's kind of a time filler. Like I'm doing something, and I'll grab a video and start watching it because I'm trying to bridge that gap in time before I go do something else. And very rarely is that gap in time 35, 45 minutes. So again, not a knock against Hickok. It's just that I don't have the time to watch the length of his videos. Gosh, I know there's some other guys that I watch their videos. What's his name? GY6, I guess. I used to watch some of his videos. They were entertaining. Kirsten Joy Weiss, I like her trick shooting videos. They're entertaining. She does some pretty cool stuff. I'd have to go back and look and see. To be honest with you, man, I don't watch a whole lot of videos, as odd as that sounds. It's not that I'm too cool to do that. It's just that I don't have the time to. I'll go back and look at my subscriber list, because I'm subscribed to a bunch of people. I just don't know who. Let's see. Jacob Height says, I was wondering what your opinion on Glocks is. You know what? I'm not a hater. Again, I'm one of those kind of guys that I respect all guns and all gun manufacturers. I might make jokes about high points sometimes, but personally, I feel like there's a gun for everybody. If there wasn't, these gun companies wouldn't be in business. So if somebody likes it, I'm cool with it. As long as they're respectful and being safe with it, I'm okay with it. Glocks make an extremely utilitarian gun. I hate the angle of the grip. I feel like one day they will realize that they're wrong about that and possibly angle it the right way. It's not a natural cant of your hand. You shouldn't have to change position of your hand. You know, John Moses Brown designed the 1911 to where you punch your hand out there, and however the hand was punching out in a natural shape and condition, he used that degree of angle to design the gun around it. That's ingenious. I don't know why that seemed to miss the Glock guys, but one day they will do that. It's going to take them a while. They'll wait till people stop talking about it, and then they will do that. And when they do, everybody's go, oh, look, check it out. Glock's the most comfortable gun in the world. But I like Glocks. I probably have more Glocks, to be honest with you, than I do any other manufacturer. So I'm not dissing Glocks because I have so many of them and I wouldn't spend money on them if I thought they were junk. But I don't like the way they, you know, put a new finish on it, and that's their new generation. I mean, to me, they don't make any wholesale changes on their Glocks, and they put a new generation out. It's like they realize that they've stagnated and they've stopped selling that exact same gun over and over again, so they make a couple of changes and then they start selling that same gun over and over again. But with that being said, they work when you ask them to. I know some people will say, oh, not all Glocks shoot when you pull the trigger. Honestly, guys, every one of mine does. I've never seen a Glock consistently malfunction. Just haven't. I'm sure there's some out there. Everybody gets a limit, but every Glock I've ever used was reliable. Never had a problem with them. So yeah, I don't have a problem with Glocks. It is not my favorite gun. Again, I may own more Glocks than anything else, but it really isn't my favorite gun. I've got other manufacturers that I prefer. But gosh, you surely can't take it away from Glock. I mean, the striker fired system at the time was a unique system and a kind of a tricky one and a complicated one. It's somewhat simple now that everybody's used to them. But Glock did some pretty cool stuff, and you know what? The consensus is usually right. I tell people that about everything. The consensus is almost always right. Don't ask my opinion. If the majority of people feel this way, then it must be right. And I do feel like that so many people like and think a Glock is a good gun that they can't all be wrong. So that's why I know that's a long way of saying it, but that's how I feel about it. Fun with Guns says, what's the easiest pistol for you to shoot? Like your home defense option, if a pistol or rifle, and everyday, like your home defense pistol, like your home defense option, if a pistol or rifle, and everyday carry pistol. If every single gun could shoot as accurately and feel as good as a 1911, that's all I would ever shoot. Because of the finishes on 1911, the weight of 1911s, the single stack nature of a 1911, and the fact that really tight tolerances tend to lend themselves to malfunctions. That's why I don't carry 1911 all the time. I've carried 1911s for a long time. There was actually a span of years that's all I carried. But you have to have a 1911 that's broken in. You get dust bunnies and all kind of other stuff like that in there. Your 1911s could be, not will be, but could be prone to malfunctions. Round count. I know you got double stacks, but 1911s are always so darn heavy. And then you add a double stack is that much heavier. If somebody made a gun, which I guess you could almost say that Hudson almost made the H9 like that, but if somebody made a gun that was as light as a striker fired gun, carried as many rounds as a striker fired gun, but felt and shot like a 1911, that's all I'd ever carry. No such gun exists, so I carry a ton of different guns. Next to my bed, because I'm such a 1911 person, I actually have two guns next to my bed, three technically. I have a biometric safe next to my bed, and I have a 1911 in there, cocked and locked with a weapons light on it. And right next to my bed, I actually have a Jerry Miculek 12 gauge shotgun loaded to the gills in the safe position, not one in the chamber. So yeah, that's my I guess home defense gun, and that's not counting the guns that I have scattered all over the house that are in hidden spots and stuff like that. I pretty much, other than the toilet room in our back bathroom, that's the only one I probably don't have a gun in. My sock drawer, if you mess with me while I'm in my sock drawer, it's going to be bad news for you. If you catch me right out of the shower, it's going to be really ugly in more ways than one, believe me. But yeah, I mean, my sock drawer is it looks like the Taliban, have been hiding guns in there. So yeah, don't mess with me whenever I'm in my sock drawer. Let's see. What's my opinion on the new Army pistols, the SIG MX 17 and 18? Honestly, I don't know. I mean, I will say this: the SIG P320 is an awesome gun. Obviously, other than the drop safe issue of it. But so I mean, I know it's patterned after that with some other different features. So I'm sure I'll like it. I haven't held one yet. I haven't used one yet. So I really don't have any first-hand experience with that. Your old 6 hours P228 is still your favorite. That's a great gun. P226, P228. I like all of those, man. Isn't CZ75 SP01 a lot like a 1911 except double action? Yeah, kinda. If you're a fan of either one of those guns, the other one really doesn't feel like it. But I guess you could say in the general vein of things, yeah, in some ways, but just the design of it really isn't the same. But yeah, they're probably closer to each other than they are to any other guns. Um, wow, Hugh Jass says that we can't store our guns or arms loaded in Canada, so I got a box mag fed shotgun and I keep the mags full. Wow, I did not realize you could not store them loaded. That sounds like California. A couple other states that we have down here. Interesting. Interesting. I mean, I'm all for gun safety though. In all honesty, again, guys, I have a special needs child. I don't leave a loaded gun anywhere. Now, my son could care less about a gun. I could set this gun right here, laying across my son's pillow, and he would gently move it out of the way as carefully and delicately as he moved anything else out of the way. He wouldn't look at it, wonder what it was. He wouldn't run off in a corner and play with it and try to, sneak away. He's just too used to guns. Still, I don't leave anything loaded around him. Guys, it's 8:05 on my clock. I'm gonna bug out of here. I apologize for not being totally prepared tonight, but man, this has been a busy week for me. I'm just glad I was able to do a live stream. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I mean, I always do. I mean, you guys have, it's fun to hang out with you. I feel like I'm hanging out with a room full of gun owners. It's actually fun. I enjoy this. I'm waiting for the day to YouTube get their stuff right to where I can go back and read all of your comments. They still, for some reason, all the comments don't pop up in the feed once the video uploads or whatever. So anyway, I'm hopeful one day that happens so I can actually address all the comments. I was actually tonight able to keep up with most of them. So anyway, I will see you guys hopefully next Friday night. Tomorrow I will be in Lafayette, Louisiana. There's Dog the Bounty Hunter, which that's not why I'm going, but Dog the Bounty Hunter, our Congressman Clay Higgins, and Colonel Allen West. There's a big Harley ride over there, and Jeeps too, Harleys and Jeeps. And I'm going to go over there and actually interview those guys tomorrow, at the event itself. So I'll be over there for that. I'm going to miss our USPSA Club Championship match over in Orange, Texas. I hate that I'm going to miss that because I haven't shot a lot this year, and I'd love to be able to compete in the match. I need to sharpen my skills a little bit, but I'm going to miss it. Again, I'll be in Lafayette, Louisiana tomorrow. So I mean, if any of you guys are in Lafayette area, man, look us up. I'd definitely like to meet you guys. I'm not sure. I think Cowboy Harley is the name of the place. It's in Scott, Louisiana, just outside of Lafayette. That's where we'll be. So if you guys get a chance, come on out there and visit with us. We'll hang out for a little while we're there, and then we'll bug out back here to Lake Charles. But always fun to hang out with you guys. I appreciate you spending your Friday nights with us. If you're going out tonight, if you're drinking, doing whatever, man, please be safe. I want to see you guys back here on next Friday night. Go out this weekend, guys. Enjoy some gun safety. Maybe take a kid out and teach them a little gun safety. Take an old person out, Let's think about it. Think about it if we're old and a bunch of our friends have died off and we don't have anybody to take us or to go to the gun range with us anymore. Imagine how much we would miss that. So, if you know an older person that likes guns, maybe invite them out to the gun range. Tell them to meet you out there. Go by their house, pick them up, and bring them out there. Be kind of a cool gesture. I hope somebody does that to me or for me whenever I'm old. So we'll see you guys later. Hopefully next week. We'll catch you next time. Look for our video on the Ruger PC Carbine coming out within the next day or so, and I will catch you guys next week. Thanks, guys.